everyone, welcome to the Coaxium Cantina. I'm Benjamin.
And I'm Aidan.
And today we're going to be talking about the new open world Star Wars game that has been confirmed by Lucasfilm Games and Ubisoft. Ubisoft Massive, who created The Division, are making a new open world Star Wars game, and that's pretty much all we know. So we're going to be discussing what this means for Star Wars and what we're hoping from an open world game. Aidan, off you go.
Well, first off, we know that it's going to be story driven. So
Yep.
in my mind, I hope that it is both story driven and has a multiplayer online aspect, because I think that would really be a good thing for a Star Wars game if it had a open world multiplayer.
Yeah.
I'd want it to be so that, with regards to if you had your own character in the online, if you could own your own ship, if you could go to different famous planets and even lesser ones.
Yeah.
Something like Black Spire might be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love it if you could have the different classes, basically like a remodeled Knights of the Old Republic. I'd love it if you could choose to be a Jedi, Sith, Bounty Hunter, Mandalorian. Well, can't say no. But yeah, I just love it if this is going to be a proper serious open world game. I want them to really go all out and make it a game that has loads of quests, loads of amazing rewards, and just stuff that really feels cool to be in an open world Star Wars game.
Yeah. I think for me, I don't see it being part of the Star Wars we already know.
Yeah.
I cannot see a time where this game would make sense within the Skywalker saga already. They could possibly do it in the Clone Wars, but I feel like we got a lot of Clone Wars.
Maybe post Rise
stuff.
of Skywalker.
That's a potential, or before the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
They could even do it in the High Republic.
That could work.
I don't know why it's been very popular that the High Republic in game form has been very popular.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say that. Another one is I've heard a lot of people say they want a Mandalorian type one where you could, not with Mando, but like what he does basically. So go around doing whatever you want and kind of doing it like that. But
if it was a Mandalorian game, what I would love is if Beskar was your exotic item and you could go and customize your own armor, because that would be amazing.
I mean, me and you have played a bit of Red Dead recently.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I doubt it would be like that, but I wouldn't say no to it being like that.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, just go around some of the random shit that we've been doing in that game. Imagine that just with Star Wars.
Imagine just bloody, I don't know, using a blaster to stun each other and then just putting you in carbonite. It's like, right, you get out
literally, yeah. And even like, if it's a bounty hunter type game where you have to do tasks for credits, and I don't know, depending on how big they make the map, they could have Outer Rim kind of things, and if you want to buy something from the Outer Rim, obviously Republic credits don't work in the Outer Rim.
Yeah.
So you're going to have maybe 2 or 3 different types of currency. Yeah, thank you. And you can do missions in the Republic, which will make you either, well, if it is the Republic, missions for the good guys, which will make you a more ally to the good guys, and then missions for the bad guys, which make you more of an ally to the bad guys, and
basically
stuff like that.
Having the Red Dead honor system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. And then even with, the bounty type things.
Yeah.
Where you do something wrong and you have a bounty on your head. It could be like, if you go against we'll say Republic, then all the Republic systems, you have a high bounty on your head.
I'd like it if you could pick up something like bounty pucks from a bounty vendor.
That would be cool.
That would be very cool.
Yeah. But that's one way they could do it. Another way they could do it is just with, you could be a Jedi. You could, forced to be a Jedi in the High Republic, in the Clone Wars, in whenever. After the Clone Wars probably wouldn't make sense. But you could be forced to be a Jedi and go to different planets and do different things. And I think an open world Star Wars game has potential to be anything.
Yes, that is true.
Literally anything. But if you can control your own fleet,
imagine that,
and you can be a general, my god.
I think that's the thing at the end of the day. I personally would say that a multiplayer open world game would be the most popular thing and would probably generate the best response.
Mm-hmm.
I have not really a fear, but I'm just wondering if it might turn out to be like a bigger Fallen Order.
If they do it single player, that is a waste.
Yeah.
100% it's a waste.
Multiplayer with this backing of hype would be incredible, and this is what I wanted to say is I wouldn't want it to be like a Battlefront 3. I'd want it to be a completely separate open world experience, because Battlefront has that kind of level design, whereas you select what you want and then you go into that type of game mode. With this, I'd want complete freedom.
Yeah, and the thing that it's not with EA anymore. So, I mean, some people argue that Ubisoft is even worse with their microtransactions, but I feel like it's a fresh start for Star Wars games, and there's you kind of expect things with EA, like you're going to expect skins where you have to pay for them, and that's just what EA does. Whereas Ubisoft, personally, I'm not too familiar with Ubisoft. I haven't played many of Ubisoft's games. But what are the microtransactions like on that?
They're very insignificant, really. They don't feel like they're part of the story. It's kind of that kind of thing where if you're mucking around and you just go, oh, I want to have a different cosmetic item, you just go across and it's like, oh, I could get this, and sometimes they're not really that expensive, they're quite cheap, so it's kind of that thing where you're like, if I desperately want to look different and this looks cool, I'll get it for the sake of it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a multiplayer game, open world, online, there's going to be, and it's a Star Wars game, there's going to be microtransactions.
Yeah.
No doubt. Whatever game company you go to, there's going to be microtransactions.
You open up a holocron, it explodes, and that's how you get your loot.
That would be insane. Or you build your lightsaber.
Oh, I need a lightsaber customization. You know that is something I'm...
Building a lightsaber in either a game or live action needs to happen.
Yes.
I mean, we got it in the Clone Wars, but that doesn't count.
No, even though it was cool.
It was very cool. What was I saying? Microtransactions. There's always going to be microtransactions, but it's whether it's important enough so that you can still play the game. And the way EA did it at the end of Star Wars Battlefront 2 was the way it should have been done at the start.
Yes.
And if it was done like that at the start, it would have been... I think Battlefront 2 would still be going right now.
Yeah.
But that's a different debate altogether. So, if you had the choice of, let's say, what era would you want it, basically? Where would you want it? Before, after, or during something that we've seen already?
I want Knights of the Old Republic, because that's very unknown, and plus it's not in canon, so they can do whatever they want with that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'd want something post Rise of Skywalker, so you could have a completely fresh concept with anything on the table.
When you say after the Rise of Skywalker, do you mean like 5 years, where some of the characters could come back, like could come into the game from the films, or do you mean like 500 years?
I'd probably say probably not 500 years.
That's an exaggeration, but what I mean is something where the characters that are already there can't return, basically.
Perhaps with regards to the story aspect, maybe a while later, but with a couple of references, maybe nothing too heavy. But with regards to the multiplayer, I don't think I'd want any interaction from people we know. I'd want something completely fresh.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Star Wars game, so it's basically confirmed that we got Kashyyyk.
And Coruscant. I would want Coruscant as a main.
I was just gonna say this, that just because it's like it could be set before or after what we already know, the planets are still there.
Yeah.
Wherever you set Star Wars, the planets are still going to be there. So you can still have Coruscant, and you can still have Camino and all the other planets.
On their development, because if you go something like post Empire Kashyyyk, then there's going to be the Imperial installations there, and there's going to be quite a lot of destroyed stuff. And then if you went to something like Camino, you'd probably see the cloning facility there.
Yeah. So if they went after the Rise of Skywalker, you could find... I mean, you could go, if they really wanted to, they could put like abandoned Jedi temples there, where you could go and explore an abandoned Jedi temple at the same time as exploring a Imperial outpost, at the same time as exploring a Resistance outpost, or a Rebel outpost, or a Republic outpost. So if they go after, there could be a lot of references which would be appreciated by the fans.
Which would be... Well, that's the thing. This game is going to definitely end up being canon, so I don't think I could do this. But
it is canon.
I don't know, legacy quest or something this is going really far off the books. This probably sounds stupid, but you could, I don't know, go to a planet or the one of the moons of Endor, and you could find Kylo's like rusted lightsaber. And then you could take the crystal from that. Or something like a legacy
that could happen.
That you could think of.
I mean, maybe not Kylo's because it was in the sea and no one could locate that, but maybe maybe that could happen with General Grievous's lightsaber. I don't know. No.
Probably a holocron would be more likely than a lightsaber, to be fair.
Yeah, or Dooku's lightsaber, because I'm pretty sure Dooku's lightsaber went down with the ship. Well, he didn't move it anywhere because, you know, he was dead. So, but anyway, so they could add. Imagine being able to explore the Jedi Temple yourself. That's what I'm trying to get at.
That would be cool. Like
the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, fully done Jedi Temple on Coruscant.
No, that would be good.
I mean, I don't know how big the game would be, but you could go into the Senate building as well. That might be a stretch.
That could be a
but
stretch.
That would be an interest.
I mean, if this is going to be on new consoles, then possibly.
Possibly.
But I imagine that would take a lot of rendering for the Senate building.
Yeah. But it would all be abandoned, of course, because, well, I don't know what happened to the Senate building, to be fair. But the Jedi Temple would definitely be abandoned. So, yeah. So in terms of the character which in the story you'll be playing, I think it would be pretty cool if the character was a villain.
Ooh, interesting.
Like a Darth Maul type villain.
Well, I mean, the biggest deciding factor is when it would be set, obviously, because then you can build off that. But would our playable character be a canon character, as in one that we already know? Because I don't think that would be the case if it's going to be a game as big as we're imagining.
No, probably not.
It would probably be an Iden Versio scenario where they make one specifically for the game and then they're brought into canon.
Yeah, but with Iden Versio, of course, she went to the light side.
Yeah.
If you just stayed down the dark path, or you could have if it's open world, you could have a type of story where, like, Starkiller.
Yeah.
Where if you did this, you could go down this path, but if you did this, you could go down this path.
Yeah.
That would be a really interesting thing, because I guess then it gives the story a bit of replayability to it.
Yeah.
But I feel like, even though they say it's story-driven, I feel like the multiplayer is probably going to be the most important part.
Yeah. Yeah, the multiplayer will probably... If you have that light and dark kind of scale, the story would be obviously the main focus, but the multiplayer would be the selling point, because the online aspect would be you constantly be able to move between dark and light, whereas the story feels like you'd move between it throughout the story, and then by the end you'd settle on one, and then you'd have to replay it to get a different perspective.
Yeah. This is probably a question for you. With Destiny 2, if someone was doing the story, so say I start playing it now, you've already completed the story, obviously.
Yeah.
How would I be able to do the story with you then? Like the basic story.
Well, that's the thing. They completely scrapped the original campaign for the game now because it got the game too big, so they released a really basic campaign now, so basically anyone can do that. But
well, my thoughts, the reason why I asked is because my thoughts is that if you have the story within the multiplayer and then people do the story at their own time,
that could work.
If they could find a way to...
But that's always the problem with it. Whilst that would work, for people to join in on other people's missions and quests, you need to be around the same point. Otherwise, it would be a case where someone's on the final mission, and then a person who's just bought the game and just completed the tutorial just joins in with them, and they're killing the final boss. That would be the problem. They need to be along the same kind of...
So that's another question leading on to that one. Like the Avengers game and like Destiny, they have power levels depending on the gear you equip and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you want that in this one? Because I would say no. But I don't have an alternative of progression.
Well, that's the thing. I played Ghost of Tsushima recently, and that was a game that didn't have power levels, and the enemies didn't have levels either. And that felt really good because it didn't feel like you were constantly trying to work to match the kind of power level. It was always a case of if you had the skill to fight the enemy.
Yeah.
And whilst I'm used to power levels because of Destiny and Avengers, I'd probably say that it would work for this kind of game we're imagining.
I feel like it's probably the simplest option to go for.
It is, because then you could have some like quest lock behind, or you need to have this kind of item in order to unlock this, because then it gives it a bit more of a I need to go and do this, and it kind of has a bit more replayability.
Yeah.
And plus, if you had like a fire team in Destiny, you could go with your friends and you could all have loads of artifacts or different weapons and classes, and it would make tackling a challenge a lot easier. So, say you went into like an abandoned droid factory, and the artifact at the end was, I don't know, something like, a crate of Beskar. It's really odd. There. But you would have a Jedi who could block the majority of the blaster bolts from the droids, and then you could have a bounty hunter or Mandalorian behind you as your mate who's going off firing.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be good if they had power levels, because then it would give people a sense of working towards something if there was new content that they could go and farm for.
Maybe a bit. I think I know what you mean. The bit like what Squadrons is / what was meant to happen.
Yeah.
Where you would have one bomber who is the guy that goes in and does the obviously bombing. Then you have the X-wings that stay back and support the bomber.
Yeah.
As you go in. So yeah, different things for different missions and different intertwining and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And like the game could be different every single time you play it as well.
Yeah, because you could have
if you do something like that. Yeah. All right. Is there anything that you would like to add on to this open world game? Any opinions you have?
I think
or hopes?
As a kind of sum up, I think it should be either a game that hasn't really got any connections, or it should be something that is few, as to make it completely fresh, because at this rate, whilst we still obviously love the Skywalker saga, it's kind of a case where it's like Palpatine's returned. It's kind of like
desperate.
If we keep adding the same characters, it might be a case where it's like, oh, so you're telling me that in this game Palpatine was working on a fleet of Death Stars, and then when you watch the film it's like, oh right, okay, because that works. It's kind of a case where if we have different characters, it just makes it more fresh and it just makes it feel different. And yeah, that's kind of what I want. I just want a game that's different, definitely open world, definitely multiplayer, and a story that actually feels compelling.
Yeah, we've taken it as kind of an assumption that it is multiplayer, because why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
They'd be stupid if it wasn't, to be fair. I mean, I'd still play it, but come on, you need multiplayer in it.
Yeah.
Although Fallen Order did quite well, so.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's a different type of game entirely.
Yeah.
And if it's a massive open world, you need multiplayer. There is no way you can't do multiplayer. So guys, let us know what you think about this open world game, what you hope for, what you wish for, when you want it set. That's another one. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. Goodbye.
Bye guys.